This is Kichisei, #1 Momoka fan and the latest addition to the spreadshooter sniper. The last spreadshooter sniper we had was Chen Alter, released, oh lord, almost 5 years ago. Feel old yet? Speaking of which, I have not used spreadshooter snipers in a hot minute, and while testing Kichisei, I was reminded why I stopped using this archetype. So, in this video, I want to highlight the good and the bad that is Kichisei and the spreadshooter sniper. Before we get to the traits and talents, I have something to share with you. Do you want to buy Arknights packs but need to save money as well? There is a way. Let me introduce you to Lootbar. Lootbar is a top-up service that also sells in-game packs at lower price. The prices are 17% cheaper, and if you are a new user, you get an additional 6% off. Use the link in the pinned comment or in my description to get the new user discount. After you pay, use the self-top-up method to log into your Arknights account and redeem it. It will only take a few minutes for the new pack to arrive in-game. Lootbar is also safe and secure with a 4.9 rating on Trustpilot and over 30,000 reviews. So if you want to save some money, click the link in the description or in the pinned comment to get your Lootbar discount. Thank you Lootbar for sponsoring this video. Kichisei is a 5-star spreadshooter, a short-range AoE sniper. She attacks all enemies within range. You don't want to keep her at E0 or any other spreadshooter because their range is kind of awkward, to say the least. Anyways, Kichisei deals 150% more damage to enemies directly in front of her, highlighted with the red tiles. Spreadshooters are also the most expensive snipers. For a high DP cost, you get high attack with a really slow attack interval and slow skill cycling. This is why Pinecone is the best spreadshooter to this day because her skill 1 has charges that makes the skill cycling a lot faster. These drawbacks makes for tough selling points, especially nowadays we have snipers with better aforementioned stats. Spreadshooters have a tough competition with heavy shooters and loop shooters for the close range high DPH niche. Heavy shooters cost less to deploy, have faster skill cycling, and some of them have defense debuffs to help with their damage. Loop shooters are also cheaper to deploy, and they also have a faster attack interval, especially at close range. Their attack interval is about twice as fast than spreadshooters, giving them higher DPS. With that being said, Kichisei has a large mountain to climb in order to bring back the spotlight on the spreadshooter archetype. For being a gambler, or a person who believes in luck above all else, Kichisei's kit has no luck nor chance-based mechanic whatsoever, and it's more about stacking attacks and damage. Kichisei's talent, Lucky Combo, not gonna lie, that sounds like a false advertisement, gives her a 6% more damage for every enemy type defeated, or 7% at pot 5, and this stacks up to 3 times. What does the game mean about enemy type? This part was a bit confusing at first. I checked the wiki and they do have a list of enemy types, but it doesn't cover everything. So I did some testing and turns out the enemy types it refers to just means that as long as you don't kill the identical enemy, that will count towards her talent stack. To visualize that, take a look at this example. So when I deploy Kichisei, her talent stack is 0. So when she attacks the careless underlings, these light mobs, she deals 1179 damage. After she kills one of the underlings, that adds 1 stack to her talent, and now she deals 1262 damage. If you check the math, 1179 plus 7%, it adds up 1262 damage. My Kichisei is at pot 5. Now let's fast forward a little bit to the point where Kichisei kills the Doton Ninja. That adds a 2nd stack to her talent, and now she deals 1344 damage to the same underling. And do note that the Doton Ninja and the underling are considered normal enemies. It's very straightforward. This does, however, make Kichisei's talent heavily relies on stage mechanics. Usually, early event stages have 1 or 2 types of enemies. Her talent also depends on where Kichisei is deployed, because some enemies only spawn in one specific area of the stage. So in order to get a full stack, you need to place Kichisei in choke points. to maximize the amount of enemies that are passing through. On the bright side though, this talent makes her really suitable for annihilation stages, since those stages have a large number of enemy types. Also, if you enjoyed this video so far, consider hitting the like button so it can spread far and wide in the YouTube algorithm. Thank you. Skill 1, Irashaimase, increases Kichisei's attack interval by 0.5 seconds, which brings her total attack interval to 2.8 seconds. Kichisei gains up to 25% attack buff after every attack, and it stacks 4 times. It's a decent skill with a modest attack buff and duration. The attack buff maxes out at 80% at level 7 and 100% at M3, capable of taking out medium to slightly heavy enemies. The high DPH is nice to have. The ramp up period is tolerable because, unlike her talent, stacking the attack buff is a lot easier and doesn't heavily depend on stage mechanics. It does feel kind of underwhelming when compared directly to Pinecone, as she outclassed Kichisei by having a much better DPS thanks to the charges that skill 1 has. That aside, I think skill 1 is a pretty solid skill, and it is the one that I always use whenever I bring Kichisei along. Skill 2, Lucky Star Shining Bright, increases Kichisei's attack interval by 0.7 seconds, gives her an attack buff, and cycles through 3 different crowd controls on hit, which are slow, bind, and stun in that order for 1.5 seconds each. Kichisei's attack interval increases to 3 seconds when this skill is active, and therefore, this skill has a lower DPS than skill 1, and it is more focused for crowd control. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work very well. Sometimes it works at capturing enemies and stop them in their tracks, other times it doesn't. For example, the floating ninja in the Atto event moves quite fast, and once they're up to speed, they can fly. The short crowd control duration combined with Kichisei's really long attack interval gives enough time for the ninja to escape out of her attack range. So yeah, if you encounter an enemy that can move at the speed of sound, Kichisei will struggle. So in that case, her skill 2 is better used for slower enemies and therefore for stalling, but I think there are way better options for that. There are other operators that can do stalling much better than Kichisei's really long skill 2 cycle. I know it sounds like I'm cherry picking, but I just cannot overlook this issue with her skill. I also would like to add that Spuria is a good pairing for Kichisei if you need extra damage. The long attack interval is enough to cover the stun that Spuria inflicts. But is it worth sacrificing a slot to bring Spuria along for a small boost of damage? That's really up to you. So yeah, skill 2 looks okay on paper, but it is kind of rough. Kichisei comes equipped with the X module. Her trait is Improve. She deals 160% damage to enemies directly in front of her. At level 2, the damage from her talent increases to 8%, and at level 3, the damage can now stacks up to 4 times. This will increase her damage per hit, but it will take slightly longer to get that full stack. In fact, the module sort of made her talent even more dependent on the stage mechanic and her positioning to justify the resource costs. In my opinion, Kichisei should have gotten the Y module as it reduces the DP cost and makes her a more viable option to deploy. What's funny is that Module Y released at the same time as the Atto event, but that module was given to Chen Alter instead. Why? Why? Come on. If you do want to invest in her module, I think level 2 is a good stopping point. Hear me out. I really want to like Kichisei. We haven't had a spreadshooter sniper in a long time, and we got some good 5 stars in the last few banners. But it feels like Hypergriff is giving her a bad card after bad card and making her kit way too niche, and one of her skills doesn't really work reliably. She is outclassed by Pinecone, an operator in the same archetype, and at a low rarity with a better DPS. She is also facing a tough competition with other snipers, and her kit doesn't really help her stand out. As it stands, Kichisei is just a normal spreadshooter DPS with some mediocre crowd control. I know this video sounds like I'm bashing on Kichisei, but I really do want to try find the good side of her. On the bright side though, a lot of Doctas seem to like her E2 art, despite how weird some parts of it look. So I guess that's the one saving grace for Kichisei. I will still be using her for this auto event just because I want to make my money's worth. But outside of this event, she will probably have to wait for her turn. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye!